Good evening, dear students. Today we will continue with our next part of health. In last session, we have seen the definitions, changing concepts, and dimensions of health. Today we will continue with spectrum of health. Now, if you see the health and disease, both of them lie on a single continuum. That is, there is no single cutoff point, like you cannot demarcate any particular area where this is health and this is a disease. But the extreme distinct points are definitely different from each other. So the lowest point of the health disease spectrum is death, and the highest point is the well-being. That is the positive definition of health, what was given by the World Health Organization, being physically, mentally, socially well-being. So this is the spectrum of health. It's a single continuum. The spectral concept of health emphasizes that health is not a static. It is not once for all achieved. It is a continuous process. If you don't take care of the health, it will deteriorate. And if you take care of health, it will remain healthy. So it is a dynamic phenomenon and a process of continuous change, subject to frequent subtle variations. Subtle variations means it is very minute variations, but it will definitely show you the changes in that variations. So we should always see that where you take a good care of the health. Now there are different stages in this, that is positive health, better health, freedom from sickness, unrecognized sickness, mild sickness, severe sickness, and then ultimately the death. So this is how, when you describe the spectrum of health, it goes from the highest positive level to the least, that is death. This is the diagrammatic representation I have given you for you to understand. Now coming to concept of well-being. Now what is this concept of well-being? Well-being, you must have heard. The psychologists point out that well-being of an individual has two components. One is subjective and one is objective. Now objective component is standard of living and level of living, and subjective component is quality of life. So let us see the standard of living. What is this term standard of living refers to? It is the usual scale of our expenditure, the goods we consume, and the services we enjoy. Usually when you say they have high standards of living, they have good standards, the standard of living is very high in cities, standard of living is very low in rural areas. So we usually use the word standard of living but without knowing what exactly it means. It means the expenditure, what we spend, and the goods we consume, and the services we enjoy, right? So it includes the level of education, employment status, food, house, amusements, and comforts of living. The comforts. So why we say in the urban areas we have more comforts, more services available. So when you have more services available, you spend more and you have better facilities available. So the comforts are more available in urban areas compared to rural areas. So standard of living is that. Now level of living. What is this level of living? It consists of 9 components: health, food, consumption, education, occupation and working conditions, housing, social security, clothing, recreation and leisure, and human rights. All these define the level of living. That means that is your health and the food, the type of food that is consumed, and type of education and occupation and working conditions, whether they are good or bad or they're average. Housing, how is the housing facilities available there. Then social security, clothing, recreation and leisure, and human rights. All these form the level of living. Now coming to the quality of life. See, those two are objective. That means you can define or you can identify. Subjective is what you feel yourself, you can tell. So quality of living, it is how usually we say that how is our quality of living. What, according to the latest definition, they say it is a composite measure of physical, mental and social well-being as pursued by each individual. How each individual perceives his health, how he looks at it from his point of view. So that is why it is a subjective point of view, it is not an objective. So subjectively you will tell whether you are living happily or not living happily, whether it is comfortable or not. All these things comes under subjective. That is, so the perception of each individual in regard to, like how they say in happiness, satisfaction and gratification as it is experienced in life situations like health, marriage, family, work, financial situation, educational opportunities, creativity, belongingness, self-esteem, and how you can trust in others. These are all the quality of life. Whether you can say whether your life is good quality or bad quality or your average quality. So usually these are all the things which we subjectively feel about. Whether your health is good, whether you are able to do marriage is happy, or you are able to celebrate your marriage, what kind of family you are living in, or what kind of family people are living in, and financial situation of the people. These are all the educational opportunities that is available in the place for you for in your life. So these are all the quality of life. These are all the perceptions which you can say. So this is subjective of quality of life. Now let us come to determinants of health. This is a very important question, usually asked in the examination also. In fact, spectrum of health is also a short notes. Quality of life is also a short notes. Even standard of living, level of living, these are all short notes which usually ask. And determinants of health is also a question which can be asked even 4 marks or even 9 marks a part of it. So let us see the determinants of health. So in the determinants of health, first we all know health is a multifactorial. So every person, there are various determinants how you can determine the health, that is biological determinants. All these have the interactions with each other. So first one is biological determinants. The physical and mental traits of every individual, as you are all aware, has certain amount of genetical background. So genes definitely do play a role, physical and mental traits of every human. So in the number of diseases which usually are considered as genetic origin, like in chromosomal anomalies or metabolism disorders or mental retardation or even some types of diabetes. Like when we take a family history in the clinicals, we ask, is your parents diabetic, or are they hypertensive, or do they have any other deformities or any other complications, medical complications, because we would like to rule out the complications genetically which can be carried from generation to generation. So these are all the biological determinants. Second one is behavioral and socio-cultural conditions. Now health requires the promotion of healthy lifestyle. Behavioral, as we all know today, health problems are mostly behavioral related. So evidences indicate that definitely there is an association between health and lifestyle of every individual. So health problems in developed countries, if you see the latest, are mostly coronary heart diseases, obesity, lung cancer and drug addiction, because these are all people living in high society, a type of developed countries they call it, because it is definitely a behavioral and socio-cultural, where there is a cultural background is also playing a role in the occurrence of disease or deterioration of health conditions. Now whereas in the developing countries like our country, we see most of the health problems happening due to malnutrition and poor sanitation and personal hygiene. Now if you see, our respectable Prime Minister has come out with Swachh Bharat. Why? Because he wants to stress on the importance of the sanitation and personal hygiene on the living conditions of the people. So malnutrition, so from society to society it varies. So in developed countries, those kind of behavioral problems are playing role in those kind of health issues, and in our countries we have this kind of socio-cultural health issues. So it may be noted that not all the lifestyles are going to be problematic, definitely. So suppose if a person is having adequate nutrition, adequate exercise, adequate sleep, and a proper living style, if he adopts to a proper good behavioral habits and proper lifestyle, his health can be in a better position than the people who are not following any kind of a better lifestyle. So health is both a consequence of an individual's lifestyle and a factor in determining it. Coming to environmental determinants. It is Hippocrates who first related the disease to environment. Later, after many years, it is Pittenkoffer of Germany revived the concept of disease to environment association. So it is he who has stressed on that disease and environment have got a definite relationship. So it is classified as internal and external. Now internal, I think you all know, it is mainly in relating to the component part, every tissue, organ and organ system, how they are all in relation to each other, how they are functioning. It is internal to the human or to the host, to us. Whereas external is macro environment, where how this particular individual human is in relation to his exposed environment. Like it can be like physical, biological, psychological, any of these things. So it can be external and internal. Now it is an established fact that environment has a direct impact on physical, mental and social well-being of those living in it. I think you know very well in the current scenario how we are all experiencing this COVID 2019 situation. Now we are all in quarantine, we are all in lockdown, all these things are happening. This is definitely environmental determinants where everybody has to take care to not to get exposed to these kind of viruses. Now coming to the socio-economic conditions. For the majority of the world's population, health status is determined primarily by their level of socio-economic development, such as economic status, education, occupation and political system. Now coming to economic status. Now how is this economic status required? It is the purchasing power. See, economically when you are well-being, they say it is like economic, it is considered as the purchasing power, standard of living, quality of life, all these things are depending upon the economic status of the people. It is a very important factor even in seeking healthcare. So economic status plays a very important role. The next one is education. Education is second major factor that can influence the people in seeking healthcare, especially the female in the family. Suppose if you see the literacy of the mothers are better, they take better care of their children. If the mother is illiterate, she might not take good care as an educated mother can take care of the children. So education plays a very important role. And occupation, definitely occupation, it is like where when you are working, you are healthy. If you are unemployed, usually there is a high incidence of ill health and death. So it can cause psychological and social damage to the people. Now political system, all these things depending upon the political system. If there is no political will, there is no proper healthcare implementation that happens at the national level or even at the state level. So political system plays a very important role in regard to the decisions taking on resource allocation, manpower policy, choice of what kind of technology should be implemented, what kind of health services should be made available, how accessible it is by implementing in the primary health centers or whatever. However, the government would like to take forward the health services availability to the people in the community. And it is quite unfortunate in most of the time, the main obstacles in the implementation of health programs are not technology, it is political. So political system also plays a very important role in this. Coming to health services. Now the purpose of health services is to improve health status of the population, mainly to reach the masses, and there are equitably distributed so that it is equally available to every part of the world, the part of the country, if you are talking about our India, and accessible at a cost that a country and our community can afford. and it should be socially acceptable. So this is the main purpose of the health services that should be available to the people. If you see the examples, immunization of children can influence the incidence and prevalence of particular diseases. So we have, like if you say pulse polio, we have taken it so widely, we eradicated the polio from this country. So that is how they take up the health services availability to the people. Now, provision of safe water can prevent mortality and morbidity from waterborne diseases. Now, care of pregnant women and children can definitely increase the child mortality and maternal morbidity rates. So, these are all the ways that health services are made available to the people. Now, coming to the aging population. In this, by 2020, it is expected that more than 1 billion people aged 60 and over, and more than 2/3 of the living in the developed countries will be aged people. That means aging population is going to be very high. If you see westernized world in like Italy's, all these European countries, you will see most of the people are aged only. The major concern of this aging population is the prevalence of chronic diseases and disabilities that these people are going to experience, and it requires a special attention. So aging population is also one of the determinants. On gender. Now, female gender is very important. I don't mean that male is not important, but female gender is more important, and there is an increased awareness among the policymakers of women's health issues and encourage their inclusion in the development as a priority. So most of the things, whatever the health programs we move forward, are mainly about the maternal and child and family health. In that, women's healthcare is very important and very key for any nation to develop, or to call it developed. And coming to the other factors, if you see, information and communication technology right now is gone to a new levels or new heights, you can call it, where medical information is available to the people so that they can utilize it for the betterment of the people's health and for the needs of the health professionals, biomedical researchers, and the public. With this information system and communication system, whatever the latest inventions can be taken to the community for the betterment of the health. Like how we see now, we get a lot of information about the COVID vaccine availability, are there at this phase, at this level, at this stage, so that the vaccination is expected to come, or what kind of medication is happening. This is all the this is how the information and communication is happening to the people, so that people can utilize those opportunities for those available resources to their betterment. Similarly, intersectoral coordination and adoption of policies in the economic and social fields also influence the health. So this is other factors that can determine health. With that, we close this chapter. You can go back to PARC textbook, you can read it. If you have any doubts, you can get back to me. Thank you.